girls in a tiny studio, teaching you and me about everything they know to make sound. A meltdown, it's the meltdown. Time for the meltdown. Coming for the meltdown. Let's start the show.
And welcome into this pop culture campfire that we call the Meltdown. Tyler off air was like, will there be s'mores? There will not be this time around. Tyler, I'm sorry about
What's
that.
the point?
But we are going to have a lot of fun for sure. I still often find myself randomly throughout days thinking of the Friday the 13th video game. Today is Friday the 13th, by the way, so that's maybe why. No way.
Of course.
Oh my God.
Well, she talked about wearing that, and I was like, I bet Tim's going to be wearing something too. And I was like, no, you're probably going to have your Thompson shirt on. I didn't think about that.
And it's a campfire.
Yeah.
So
it is.
It's a double.
Yeah.
I cannot believe how many times I fall into the trap of not looking at Laurel's shirt and then bringing up something that's
To be fair,
culturally
today was
relevant
pretty
to it.
easy, but yeah.
I get it. But anyway, I think of the campfire sequence with some of the worst animation I've ever seen in a video game of the counselors' faces like, like when Jason pops out.
I like the guy with the scarf around his neck. His surprised face is gold.
You call it a scarf, I call it an ascot.
Oh, yeah, it's an ascot.
It's a very 80s ascot, but
Yeah.
it seems like the bad guys in the 80s, they all had the same sort of
Well, you know,
wardrobe.
that game, there's so much promise behind creating something like that, and they just haven't gotten it right yet.
Eventually, we need to do a Lunce's list of best 80s bad guys, and we're going to have that list, but not today. Today, we will be focusing on a whole different type of list. We'll get to that here in just a second. John Lunsford, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Really great.
I forgot to look for myself. We were talking
Sorry. Great to have you
He
here.
found himself.
He absolutely did. We have Tyler Johns producing today back there in the back corner. We appreciate his out of the theater reactions, which we've got to get to here in just a little bit. And it's not a Fun Friday edition of the show without Laurel Lunsford, who's here with us, as mentioned. And the shirt, obviously, on point today for sure. All right, I want to get right into this. There's no need to really beat around the bush. Laurel, did you watch John in trivia earlier this week?
I did.
Reaction?
He was not happy.
He was not happy at all.
No.
You are the current tag team world champion alongside Rockstar.
Mm-hmm.
You have not yet fought John Lunsford in the trivia arena.
I haven't.
But
still won't.
You guys know each other really well. It was... We talked about his first tag team bout being the upset of the century when Reed and Taylor ended up prevailing. This one is up there with that one.
Yeah, it is up there. I was a little surprised. No shade to Lance and Dunaway, but I was a little surprised.
Is he cursed? What is it? Because he played really well, I think,
that's
in
the
both
thing.
games.
Losing to them when they have -1 means we obviously did not play very well. Losing this one when we had 11, which is higher than anybody scored in the first one except for when they won, that's the little different story.
You said something off the air the other day, which was very telling.
I said a lot of things I can't repeat on the air.
No, this isn't I got you, buddy. This isn't that.
No, I'm just saying I'd said a lot of bad words.
No,
Yeah.
You said, and you can tell me if I'm misinterpreting this, you said, if you learned anything from this past Wednesday, it's that you 1,000% want to keep Spud as a teammate.
Correct. If I can't team with my wife, of course.
Oh, okay.
Because she has to keep her teammate.
That wasn't said originally, but it is said now.
Well,
Smart man.
It should be assumed because she has a teammate already. That I absolutely enjoyed having Spud as my teammate. I think he has it back. He nailed a ton of questions. I mean, he got more right than I did.
Can I share my
actually
name
got
that I
questions
think they
right.
should have? Because I came up with some really good names, which none of them got used, but my favorite was Spud in the City.
It's good.
Very targeted demographic there with that joke.
I told Spud, he said he liked it, but
I feel like it
wanted to have men, too.
encompasses like Spud also. Like I feel like Spud would be single in the city, living it up. I don't know. I could just see it.
With an ascot.
With an ascot.
Okay. Well,
hey, ladies, you enjoy my ascot?
it is a surprise that you guys are not moving on to the championship round. And I think you guys played a masterful game this past week, except
hard to play
for
much better.
There were about 2 points where I know if you could have them back, you would have bet on yourself probably a little bit bigger.
Really, the only one I would have bet on myself more was the Nebraska question. Because at the time, I took the safe way out to take the lead. Because it was 0-0, -3 when I got that one. And so I took the 2 points to take the lead as opposed to going for 6. Because if I had lost that, we would have been in a deep hole.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because obviously video games is your wheelhouse. But 2010 cinema is right up there. And you brought in Spud to help you on that compared to taking it yourself or even passing it. You didn't want to pass it because you were worried both Jeff and Lance could potentially bail out their teammates.
Lance definitely would have gotten it. I didn't know about Jeff, but Jeff has a lot of the same movie likes that I do, the same a lot of movie knowledge that I don't necessarily know that he has. If it was a 3-point question, I would have 100% just taken it. But with it being a 6-point, that's the thing about the double the points. The double the points can very much help you, and it can very much screw you. It's probably one of the, like, there's a lot of wheel spins. Like, the wheel spin I landed on with the Supreme Court question was a screw me wheel spin.
Yeah.
The audience help is obviously very much a help you wheel spin. The 10-point jackpot is kind of in the middle, I guess, because you don't lose points if you get it wrong, but you can benefit so much. But the double the points.
That's Jeff and Boomer.
Well, they got it. I mean, hell, I can't help what happens the rest of the time. But I think the double the points is very middle of the road because it can so bad hurt you, and you just don't know, depending on what, going in. That 2 versus 3, that basically was a super easy skip question for me because you hadn't even hardly finished reading the question when I yelled out Nebraska. So to me, that was a super easy question, and a super easy skip would just be 2 points, and you move on. So I kind of took it as that. Once again, it gave us the lead. At that point, it was so early on that obviously if that was later, I don't know what I would have done with the lead. I still probably would have gone for the 2 points. But if I had done that, it would have been 4 extra, I guess, and we lost by 3, so it would have been a little different. But the biggest thing is Johnny Depp. I probably should have known that as opposed to Richard.
Did you know that answer, by the way, those 4 people?
I did not know Richard Gere. Which
That
you
was
knew that
such
one.
a good pull. I mean, everyone was blown away.
And I
I
still got
honestly
no points
thought
for it.
once you got Richard Gere, you were gonna.
I probably would have thought Johnny Depp because he was so popular, especially in the 90s.
I just never would have gotten the Alice in Wonderland year being the year that he got it the second time.
John was telling me about some of the questions and the VMA one about who kissed Madonna, and I was like, of course it was Christina Aguilera, but nobody remembers
Which
it.
the team that beat us got wrong, by the way.
Which they panned to Justin Timberlake while she was doing it, so that's why no one remembers it.
And I will say, had trivia happened literally the next day, because that night I went home and watched the VMAs, and Katy Perry got the Video Vanguard Award, which is like their big award, like their basically Lifetime Achievement Award they give. And Orlando Bloom was all over it because he did her introduction. He gave her the award. He was standing next to her the whole time. They kept showing him in the audience. And it's those things, like I've gotten questions before where part of the whole reason I got Richard Gere is because I said in the chat one of those days I was sick, and something came about Pretty Woman. I was like, I actually just watched Pretty Woman, and y'all were like, he didn't watch Pretty Woman. I did. That's part of the whole reason Richard Gere came to mind, because Laura literally had Pretty Woman on a couple of weeks ago, and we watched it. So it's that kind of thing that, like, that's the only reason I really got Richard Gere, is because he was top of mind because I had just watched that movie. After seeing Orlando Bloom, I may have gotten to Johnny Depp a little easier. Honestly, I may have guessed Orlando Bloom, but because Lord of the Rings and Pirates, but Johnny Depp, very much the same thing, winning it because of multiple franchises he was in. I may would have gotten there eventually, but at that point,
And then Jeff ends up nailing the 10-point question by putting all of those novels in order of release, which I honestly will stand by. It's not an easy thing to do, blindly especially. He was just literally shooting at the board.
I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do. I still stand firm it is an easier thing to do than what I had to do.
I would also agree that it is easier just because behind the board, me and EG both nailed that question.
It's a multiple choice question, basically, and I had to fill in the blank question, which
I'm not saying your question
percentage-wise
was
harder.
easier in any way, but it was amazing how well both of you did on those 10-point questions, and I really was impressed with both of your performances there with that.
Too bad I didn't get 3/4 of the points for getting 3/4 of the answers.
That's true. You brought up Justin Timberlake. We got to talk about him pleading guilty today to a reduced charge in his drunk driving case in Sag Harbor, New York. Have you heard the penalty that he's going to have to pay?
I haven't.
Here we go, Laurel. Brace yourself.
I'm ready.
He was ordered to pay a $500 fine.
Okay.
And he has to perform community service.
Oh man, he got off easy then.
This is going to ruin the world tour.
I think he'll be okay with those two things. But
I think he's about to go. I think NSYNC is about to go back on tour because I think everyone hates him. And I mean, he hasn't really been relevant in my eyes in years.
One of the few things that can save him.
But NSYNC was nominated for a VMA the other night, so I think that he's about to really try to get back on the public good graces and have an NSYNC reunion.
Who needs who more? Justin needing his bandmates or his bandmates needing Justin?
Honestly, I mean, I think they've done, like, NSYNC has performed without him, like with the Backstreet Boys. Like, they did a tour a few years ago, and I mean, there's still people that will go see that, but having Justin would be like, okay, now we have all 5 of them.
The higher you are, the further you fall.
Yeah.
They weren't really anywhere. He was high and has fallen, that he probably needs them more to get back to where he was versus what they need.
I could tell, like, you could tell the look in his face. He did a concert It was like at a small venue in LA. And I could see the look on his face when NSYNC came out, and you could tell the applause was so much more for him doing NSYNC and like these old songs than like his new stuff that nobody hears about. Like he was just like, I guess I'm gonna have to go back to this.
He's gonna have to age up his audience and play to those requests rather than he's basically gonna have to go play the hits instead of trying to produce new music.
Yeah,
You can do another song with Chris Stapleton.
Chris Stapleton,
Everybody liked that one.
you want to talk about a moment where the trajectory started to switch at that point. I mean,
He helped Chris Stapleton, and now Chris Stapleton has taken off, and it's like,
Chris Stapleton is
he might not want him around.
that's
Honestly,
what I'm saying. He's like, bye, I'm done.
he needs Chris Stapleton
I mean, thanks, but I'm
Yeah.
done.
to maybe come back around here. Let's talk about Speak No Evil. My relationship with this movie has been well documented on this show. I've seen promotion for it around every corner. I went home and opened up the fridge, and James McAvoy was in there to tell me to go see Speak No Evil at one point. It was an absolute nightmare. John is playing the role of weatherman behind me. It was an absolute nightmare going to the movies.
The light shining too much on it. You can't see it.
It's all good. My favorite thing is to go to the movies, but it has been invaded by James McAvoy's trailer for Speak No Evil, which plays in front of every single movie. I'm like, why is this playing in front of Inside Out 2? It makes no sense. It was literally everywhere over the course of, I would say, maybe from January, February, all the way up here to September. It has been all year long, and I started purposefully showing up late to movies to try to avoid this, and it would still somehow catch, right there.
5 minutes into the
You and
movie.
me both, Tim.
It's like when a video plays halfway through a YouTube, like an ad plays halfway through a YouTube video, and it's like, no, why is it happening? It's 30 minutes
and
into
this
the
is
movie.
a universal thing. Like there are so many people that have said this exact same thing. They're like, I can't avoid this trailer. Like
Yeah, it's
yesterday,
not us.
people are like so excited. Like I never have to see the trailer again.
Did they play the trailer before you went to go see the movie? Did they play it there too?
Thankfully, no.
I'm terrified that Nicole Kidman in her AMC ad's going to be watching this movie, and it's going to pop up and it's going to live on forever. It's like we come to this place and it's James McAvoy, or whatever. It's going to be like no, but it has haunted me. So I made the decision that I hate it so much. It's been so oversaturated, and I started rehearsing the trailer line for line that I wanted to not have anything to do with this movie when it came out. And it looked awful to me. And the reviews have been really good reviews so far. Is it still in the 90 percentile on Rotten Tomatoes? Probably it's fallen a little bit to the high 80s if I had to guess.
86.
86. Okay. John, you don't like horror movies. I watch your out of the theater reaction. You're like, if you want to see a horror movie, go see this one. Did I like it? Not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea. But if you end up liking this, it's
Telling you the
because you
truth.
probably want to sip some tea. And if you want to sip some tea, this is the tea to sip. And I'm like, what is happening? They took John away from me. Okay, Tyler's going to get it. I came in with no expectations, and I ended up saying, this is pretty good. And I'm like, no, they're getting all of my friends. So my last hope is the one person who didn't have an out of the theater. That is Laurel Lunsford.
Good luck.
Laurel, is this movie good or bad?
I think the biggest twist of this is this movie is actually good.
No!
I was shocked. Like I had so much fun in this movie, and one of the dad character, I don't know the actor's name.
Scoot McNairy.
Tyler, were you like getting frustrated with him?
I was
he
like,
is
just such a wimp for the
He's such
entire
an
movie.
idiot. Like I have not been this enraged and like passionate about a movie.
Don't spoil the movie.
I won't spoil it, but
Oh, you could tell from the trailer he's an absolute pushover. I mean, you could tell.
But-
what's going on?
That does not change.
He just threw a dinner roll at your kid. Do something.
But it's surprising. And I thought James McAvoy was really good. And I have a suggestion for the casting for Batman. I think he'd be a good Bane. What, Tyler?
She said Wolverine early on, and I kind of agree with that.
I think Bane, like that part towards one of those scenes at the end, he did look like Tom Hardy in that movie.
I mean, I know obviously he has been Professor X, but I feel like him now kind of fits the Wolverine mode a little bit. He's so much shorter than everybody else in the movie. I don't know if you could tell that, but like everybody
Which
else
makes
in the
it so much
movie,
perfect,
he's
though.
so much
That's so
shorter. It's
good.
like if you want like the short Wolverine, like the more comic accurate one, I feel like that's something. I mean, he's in his like early 40s, so obviously he's too old to like start that. But like, and he's already been in that
He's
world.
already Professor X. I don't think.
I know he's already been. I'm just saying,
People
like,
be walking in. Why is Professor X walking?
but if like,
It's
to be fair, he did walk in.
First class.
Yeah,
No, Tim, it's good. I'm telling you.
he
it's
walked in
good.
another one because he took the
Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past,
He was
yeah.
taking the injections.
serum to kill his stuff so he could walk. Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway.
Just in this one, he kind of did have that Wolverine look, like the beard, and he's short, but he's like ripped. The thing is, he looks in this more like I would have expected him to look in Split.
He wears a.
I just watched
Split.
Split.
He did, yeah.
I watched Split for the first time a few months ago. That's just one, just for some reason, I just never saw. And the whole thing is, he turns into the Beast at the end, but it's still just kind of him, and he's not like really that jacked at that point. He is so jacked in this one, like that's what I expected the
He's
Beast to look
uncomfortably
like.
looking like in this movie.
Yeah.
My wife today said, "Can you please take me to Blink Twice?" And I was like, I mean, yeah, I guess if you want to see it that bad, sure. And she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, no, Speak No Evil." And I'm like, no, you're not allowed to mix up those movies and then get a yes
Tim,
for
you're
Blink
taking
Twice.
your wife to go. No, stop.
This
You're
is better
taking her.
than Blink Twice.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
You're gonna like this movie. That's I'm telling you, as someone.
Maybe there's a double feature playing somewhere.
This is also a much better date night movie than Blink Twice.
Gosh,
Yeah.
I would not take any significant other to that
I
one.
love my wife, but it's a question of which one am I willing to fight for more, my marriage or my love of cinema?
I just think that you're gonna be surprised at. I'm telling you, Tim.
All right. I wish you guys had hated it. It would have made it so much more. It would have been so much easier for my personal life.
I was shocked that I was enjoying it. I got maybe a third of the way into the movie, and I just sat back and I said, "This is pretty good."
Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah.
Does
I'll be
the
honest.
marketing team need to be fired
Yes.
for making
No,
it
it's
the
the
most
trailer.
unappealing
Yes.
looking movie of all time? Or does the marketing team need to be commended because everyone knows about this movie?
I think there's a little bit of both. And it was a bad trailer, but like the way they spent their money actually was probably pretty wise. I think if this movie had stuck a little more to the Danish one that it copied from a couple years ago, knowing what happened, because like I read about that going into it, because I don't
Master
really
of
care. I
spoilers.
don't care about spoilers. This probably actually would have been pretty high for me. I think if it had actually stuck to the script
That's
of the
'cause
Danish
she wanted
film.
all. Never mind.
I'm not gonna spoil what happens in either one of them because obviously it'll show what the differences are, but
Yeah.
it probably would have been pretty
I
high.
like this version better.
All right. Well, there we have it with Speak No Evil. If for some reason I see this thing, I will let you know my thoughts. But the trailers don't give too much away.
Actually, no.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't think
because
it does.
it shows pretty much every key moment until the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like the last 15, 20 minutes is kind of like you're waiting to see, okay, what actually happens when like it goes down. And then that kind of plays out and you didn't really see much of that in the trailer.
Yeah, I really like the way it plays out.
Okay. Well, the thing is, I like y'all and I hate the movie, so I'm at a point where I got to choose one or the other. Do I stick with the
You either
life?
gotta like
Hate
the
trailer.
like the movie or
Just
hate us.
Just hate the trailer.
Hate the trailer.
The movie
don't like
did
the movie.
nothing to you
See,
yet.
I've heard the same thing, and that's weird. They're both opening up the same weekend. I've heard the same thing about Transformers 1, that the trailers do it no justice, and it is so good. And I think the reviews have been pretty good for it too.
I mean, I'll find out tomorrow. I've still got my early ticket.
You said that hyped you up a little bit more hearing that, but
Little bit.
the fact that you experienced that with Speak No Evil, it has to give you a little bit more optimism for Transformers 1 even. They're opening up the same weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, I would like to say that this is going to be like just two very pleasant surprises this weekend, but these were two movies that I was dreading to go see.
Laurel, are you with me that like really, I think overall, year after year after year, the most hyped I get movie-wise is the month of October. I mean,
yeah, because for horror people,
well,
that's why.
a mixture though. I mean,
Yeah.
you get horror, but you also have some blockbusters that are making
Yeah.
their way into October that are very, very good. Beetlejuice, I think, played it really smart, dominating
I think
that early September window where they're going to hold pretty well, and they're going to potentially be out digitally before.
And people will
Halloween.
love watching that on a Halloween. Like people will
love
love
it.
that.
So it's a really smart business play, but we're in spooky season. There's no doubt.
Of
It is our
course.
favorite time of year, but October really is
There's
week
so
after
many.
week.
Yeah, it's just like one after the other.
It's like 6 movies I want to see in
Yeah.
the month of October alone.
Yeah, there's gonna be some good ones.
So I'm really saving up a lot of my energy for October to be able to conquer that. One movie I'm super excited about coming out in September. This did make my 5 most anticipated. If you go watch our Meltdown movie midterm, highly recommend it. Catches you up on where we are going into this portion of the year and what we're excited about to come. The Substance. I am so excited for this movie. I don't
that's
know,
interesting.
is your hype level there for it at all? Because
I don't know. I think that looks really. Like there, you're right. There is like week after week. I think that one looks really good. And I'm not gonna lie. I think that Smile 2 looks good.
Smile 2, I think it
I think
does
the
look
second
good.
trailer made it look better than the first trailer. Because
I
I think the first
agree.
one was so trap feeling. But now that they've given a little bit more of the story,
100%.
I was like, oh, this is interesting.
It's got its own iconic imagery now
Yes.
to where like it's starting to build a brand of its own
Yeah.
rather than being, as you said, confused with the trap trailer.
Yeah. No,
So
the Substance does look good to me too. Yeah.
I'm with you. The Substance comes out this month. I'm very excited about it. people are starting to talk. Demi Moore. Is it Demi Moore or Demi
That's
Moore?
what we just were
I always
talking
thought it was
about.
Demi.
Demi. It's
I
Demi.
go back
think.
and forth. Demi Moore, they're talking Oscar potentially based on
I
this role.
could totally see, because Oscars do love rewarding actors that have been there for in the long haul. They have like a little bit. Oh, I know which one I'm really looking forward to is Heretic, and it has gotten
That one does
excellent
look
reviews.
good.
See, I think he could be someone that could potentially,
Hugh Grant.
yes, be someone that may slides in there for something if the role is that good.
Well, I am very excited about the horror slate that we're going to be experiencing over the next several weeks. Maybe, who knows, speak no evil, maybe I end up caving and seeing it and then think that, okay, this is another great horror movie of 2024 that should be put into that consideration. But that's
I
sort of where
think
we're
it's
at.
the best Blumhouse movie since the Black Phone.
Just not saying much,
But yeah,
I probably agree.
Yeah, I'd probably agree as well.
I want to go to some Meltdown history here. Tyler, it involves you. You're going to have to remind me, though. We did a lunchless list one time.
Yeah.
That I believe was best kids movies or something like that, and you had the Goonies on that list.
Yeah,
it was
yeah, I know where you're going with this news, and it sucks.
yes, this is going to upset Tyler very much. It already
Yeah.
is. A report claiming the Goonies 2 will shoot next summer with most of the original cast returning has been circulating like wildfire. It's not true, according to the actors that make up the Goonies.
Were you saying it sucked because they were going to do it?
Yeah, I didn't want this to happen. Oh my, it's not true, Tim.
And if there's any source you need, it's not happening. No.
Oh, that's such a relief.
Oh, so it's a relief that it's not
I was about to say,
happening.
Yeah.
I
Goonies
think
fans want it.
yeah.
I thought you were about to say
I-
they were going to remake it.
Yeah,
I
I
that's
love
what
the
they were
Goonies,
saying.
and I never want to see just like them
sequel.
trot out a half-baked sequel a la Anchorman 2.
Speaking of
or
trotting-
Zoolander 2.
Speaking of
Dumb and Dumber too.
Dumb and
speaking
Dumber
of-
2, yeah.
Speaking of trotting out half-baked acts, let's hear from Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman said he has no information whatsoever that a sequel was in development. I'm not sure Corey Feldman's the guy you want to give sensitive information
That's
to.
the one. That's the one they left out.
Maybe. But anyway,
Hey, Sean Astin. Hey, Kiwi Kwan. You're like one of the biggest things out there. Now let's redo it.
Isn't
What about Corey?
Isn't Thanos in it?
Josh Brolin?
Yeah,
is
Josh
that-
Brolin, he's the older brother.
there are Goonies fans who want a sequel. I mean, there's always going to be those fans that want a sequel, but you're actually relieved that you're not getting one. So there you
Oh,
go.
absolutely.
Lil Wayne says not being chosen as the Super Bowl halftime show performer broke him. He said, quote, "That hurt. It hurt a lot. I thought there was nothing better than that spot on that stage, on that platform. It broke me, but I'm just trying to put myself back together." What right now is the legacy of Lil Wayne? Lil Wayne?
I mean, he did have that one album like years ago when they had that lollipop on it. That's how I remember it. That sold like 1 million. They had a listing. I sent it to John like last week of albums that have sold over 1 million in its first week. And Lil Wayne, that he's
Carter
on there.
Carter 3. Yeah.
Carter
Thought it was
3,
the
like
third
that was one of the main ones. So people, I think, will remember that. I think I know him as being associated with Drake and Nicki Minaj more since they're on so much of the same, songs together.
I almost feel like I probably would have liked Lil Wayne more than Kendrick. I mean, neither one would have been at the top of my list. But I do feel like Lil Wayne could have had a really killer like ensemble out there.
Yeah.
Of, like people that he brought in.
At WrestleMania, they brought out Lil Wayne, and they introduced him as the greatest rapper of all time, Lil Wayne, and he comes out, and it sounded awful. And his mic wasn't cooperating the right way, and his voice, you couldn't understand a word he was saying.
It was like Weekend at the Super Bowl. It's like, the Weekend's good, but
Oh,
boy, that audio was
It
terrible.
was so bad. And I don't know if that cost him sort of the halftime show, but at least he got WrestleMania there. There's a lot of hype surrounding what debuts less than a week away, The Penguin on HBO. This series, guys, the hype for this has hit an all-time high. It's being called masterful, a mesmerizing crime drama. The reviews have been through the roof. I don't know where it currently stands on Rotten Tomatoes. TV, very different than movies, obviously. But some of the reviews I've seen have talked about how Colin Farrell gives the performance of a lifetime in this thing, and that it is going to absolutely blow everybody away.
It is a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
93 on Rotten Tomatoes. Look at some of the words, though. Look at some of the reviews. Give me just a couple of those, because it's really pushing forward that this is going to be a all-time great mobster experience and an all-time great sort of Batman on the small screen experience.
I don't know if I can actually find any.
How does that raise your hype level, Tyler? You're pretty excited about this already.
Yeah, I've been pretty excited about this series. I much prefer the Matt Reeves universe to just anything else DC's done in years.
100%.
There's also aspects of the Matt Reeves universe I prefer over the Nolan verse.
I agree.
That might be a hot
I just
take.
like Robert Pattinson more.
Is that not a big part of it? That's Batman.
No, I take Christian Bale.
I
over
like
Robert
the
Pattinson.
aesthetic
They're both
look
good,
of it.
but
Like I like the look of it better.
But yeah, I think this will make Penguin an actually intimidating character because he's always not been quite comic relief, but not intimidating. His name's Cobblepot, and he waddles around everywhere. He's not very scary, but this is Oz Cobb with the gold tooth and a chip on his shoulder. So I think it'll be better.
Excited about this one, Laurel?
I am excited. I really like this universe too. I love Nolan's. I think that's always like going to be my top one. But I really liked the Batman. Of course, like I'm biased. Like I do love Robert Pattinson. Like all the girls my age do. But I think he's a good Batman. I really liked the Penguin that Colin Farrell did. What's the guy that was like the person that he worked with? The one from that was with the Penguin. That was Catwoman's mom or father.
Falcone.
Yes, I really liked.
John Stroh.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I really thought like those two are really. I know he won't be able to be in it now, but I really like those two together. I just like the whole kind of very noir look that it goes for, and just like that kind of vibe that it brings.
It feels like it's going to be an eternity before we get Batman Part 2. I think
Robert
it's
Pattinson's gonna be 40 at that point.
currently set for 2026.
I feel like it's
Yes.
a fight between that and Spider-Verse. Which one will we get first? Because they keep getting pushed back.
I really hope we get Batman Part 2, and I hope this helps sort of satiate a lot of appetite.
Yeah.
And
Or
it
will we
helps-
get GTA 6 first?
Look,
Because that
hope we get that.
got pushed back
I
again
hope we
recently.
get that first because
John-
it's supposed to be first.
you agree if this series is good enough to where it sort of revives Batman 2022, that's a huge win for the studio. If it makes that movie more important and it has people going back to it and enjoying it. Tyler, you remember recently AMC, they screened a lot of Batman showings here. None in our market, unfortunately. We couldn't
Shocker.
see it. But the ticket sales on this, I mean, I was seeing people, their theaters were filled up to go see Batman 2022. I think it's a movie that's done really well with home release on Max and everything. And I think this series, John, is going to propel Batman 2022 even further into people's lives.
Well, and I think it's the best thing DC has going right now. I mean, you could argue Joker, obviously. You cannot argue the DCEU. We don't know about the DCEU yet. So that coming back in the forefront will help because you are going to have to wait so much longer for the Batman Part 2. So the more you can keep it going. I don't know if there's other planned TV shows like that have just been announced but haven't actually done anything with yet. But like I almost hope it does something like that. This works really well for HBO to say, or Warner Brothers, whoever, to say, hey, that was pretty cool. It's going to be a while on Batman, and to do a massive scale movie that's going to cost, $150, $200 million to do. What can we do with TV? Like what?
Kind
are
of like a
some
Game of
TV
Thrones
angles
type
with
thing,
that?
like they did with House of the Dragon and the other show that's coming out.
What do you think
So
of the...
there were 2 other spinoffs for TV in development, and those have both been folded into creating the Penguin. There was going to be a
So maybe there'll be
Gotham
like
PD series,
And
and
an
there was
Arkham
going to be an
series.
Arkham Asylum series.
Is Jeffrey Wright going to be in this?
Has to be.
I would assume so.
I still think Batman has to appear in this. They're
think
downplaying
so.
his appearance,
I
but
think
he's
so,
got
too.
to be in this.
He'll show
At
up.
some point, he's going to show up, and it's going to be a talked about sequence. I think.
I mean, Matt Reeves has called this series the connective tissue between Batman Part 1 and Batman Part 2.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to watch the movie to watch this series or vice versa, but it will enrich the world and deepen it.
I know that Laurel, John, you guys will disagree with me on this one, but I feel like DC has a chance here, and Warner Brothers in particular has a chance to get the whole movie TV relationship way more right than Disney has with Marvel and Disney has with Star Wars, and connecting them to their main
I
franchise.
don't disagree with that. I don't know that they necessarily will, but I don't disagree with
See,
that.
I don't disagree. I think
like Dune, we're getting a Dune series.
I think
here
they
very soon.
put too, like Marvel and Star Wars, Marvel more though. They put like too many out there. Like you don't need like
They oversaturated
like
the market.
6 or 7 shows.
Honestly,
like you can do like 1 or 2 a year.
I'm probably in the minority, but my problem now is they oversaturated it so much that now that it's not as saturated, I feel like I'm missing out. Like, well, you did all this
Empty.
stuff I was in, and now you've stopped because I get the average person maybe wasn't in, but you've kind of pissed both sides off now. Like, you're not going to watch
is
every
correct.
you're not going to watch every TV show because it's like there's way too much. I don't have time. I ain't got the time for that. And then it's like me. It's like, well, I kind of liked it. I caught up at times. I didn't watch it when it happened necessarily, but like now it's like, where's my TV show? I know Agatha's about to come out, but like
I'm excited about
that.
that.
That's such a side thing. It's like I want like a Falcon and Winter Soldier, like a Loki that has more ties into like the bigger picture. Agatha probably is not going to have much tie to the bigger picture unless there's some Scarlet Witch thing at the end.
You have been very adamant, consume as much that Disney will push out, Marvel and Star Wars, consume it all in order to be able to have that grandiose opinion of exactly how it all sort of ties together. That's your strategy. My strategy is I hate busy work and I hate TV that doesn't get rewarded. Why do I want to sit down and watch? Why do I want to, like Daredevil for me, right? I didn't watch Daredevil initially because I'm like, it doesn't really tie into the MCU right now. I don't have time for it. Then they brought it into the MCU and I went back and caught up on Daredevil. And I was like, okay, I understand why people are crazy about this, but I felt rewarded watching it delayed than when when it was out to begin with.
I'd say Marvel TV now is like Marvel TV was then. Like Daredevil was very good. I thought the first season of Luke Cage was very good. I thought the first season of Jessica Jones was very good. Then like season 2 of Daredevil, not quite as much. Season 2 of Luke Cage, not quite as much. Iron Fist, not quite as much. And it's like now it's starting to kind of become tedious. Like I was all about having all the stuff, but the quality dropped off because they were trying to do so much with it. Yeah. I agree Marvel is that way. Like WandaVision was really good. Falcon and Winter Soldier was really good. Loki's really good. But then you get to like Miss Marvel and it's like, okay, like I'll watch it, but like I don't feel like I have to watch it to get into the full story of the MCU.
I feel like with WandaVision, because that was like the first one, and I really, really liked WandaVision. It was like you couldn't wait for the next episode. And then like when we're watching some of these other shows, it's like, well, wait a few weeks. I was like, oh yeah, I guess we need to catch up on that.
The other help
not
with
like
those
I have
three
to watch it.
Is WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, and Loki were all very much, these are pretty big characters, what's happening with them after the Infinity Saga. Yeah. Now it's like, okay, we're trying to build into the new saga, but not everybody's in on the new saga with the multiverse saga. And so now it's like, okay, all these shows I don't really care about as much.
What do you guys make when it comes to the Penguin of the release strategy? We're going to start it on a Thursday night, take the weekend off, and then next we're going to be doing it on Sundays from that point forward, which is HBO's We Believe in This Show spot. It's what got Game of Thrones across. It's what's gotten almost every one of their big shows across. What do you guys make of the release strategy of we're going to put this out on a Thursday night? Because I think it is going to be competing against a lot of eyes that are going to be watching the NFL game, John.
The NFL game plus movies are just released on Thursday night, so anybody that's going to go to the cinema, a lot of times will be at the cinema. I probably would go. I don't even know what comes out next week, but
I think the substance.
Okay, well, I know my wife will be there. I'll be watching something. But I've also go to the movie theaters. We had a whole discussion last night, by the way, about was it Terrifier? What I'm going to go see when she goes to Terrifier, because Saturday night comes out that week too. And it's like, well, we'll wait and go see Saturday night together. It's like, I can't wait to go see Piece by Piece instead of going to see Terrifier.
And I said, what is that? And John showed it to me, and I said, I'll take Terrifier by 1,000.
I was like, it's a Pharrell biopic done by Legos. And she's like, that looks really stupid. And right after that, the trailer came on for it. But
I actually think that'll be the best biopic of the year by far.
It doesn't look bad. For the most part,
I think it looks really good.
For the most part, all the Lego style movies have actually been pretty good. But I think it's going to be competing against the NFL. It's going to be competing against movies coming out on Thursday, since that's basically their launch day now. I
wish they would have dropped it on Wednesday.
Sunday in general is just always the day. Why not just do Sunday?
Maybe something else has that slot right now, and they just could not move it because it's a finale.
They want to do it so like
something.
people have the weekend to like hype it up and talk about it.
Maybe it has a little bit longer.
I think it's a smart play because you can build hype through the weekend as opposed to it's on Sunday. You either miss it and miss the conversation for the entire next week, or if you miss it on Thursday, whatever, watch it Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. You're still a part of the Monday conversation.
And then Saturday's college football. So, I mean, you'll have time to watch it during those.
I'm going to watch it Sunday. Because Thursday will be the movies. Friday will be at Thompson.
We got to watch it Thursday night.
Friday will be at Thompson. Saturday we'll be watching college football. So Sunday, it's like, oh, there's a new HBO show on Sunday.
We've got to watch it Thursday night because we've got to be able to talk about it on Friday. We've got to make a blood pact that we're all going to watch Thursday night. Can you do that?
I'll try.
Okay. Laurel?
I ain't going to see the substance, so I'll stay home and watch it, I guess. Y'all can.
Yeah, you won't be filming any out of the theater reactions that night, John.
That's exactly right.
I'll find something next week.
Colin Farrell's Penguin could use our friends at Way to Wellness.
No. Next week is Transformers 1.
Wait. I said, Colin Farrell's Penguin could use our friends at Way to Wellness. And you said, no. I was like, what?
Are you going to see Transformers 1 this weekend?
Yeah, because I've got early access,
Oh.
but it
Well,
officially
next
comes
week.
out next weekend.
So that's what I'll go see. Screw what y'all go see.
You want me to do
Anyway,
it one more time?
our friends at Weighted Wellness, you can go to planforme.com and learn more about Weighted Wellness. Leslie, their whole board certified team do a great job with Tim. He has a plan that works for him. I have a plan that works for me. Jim Dunaway has a plan that works for him. My dad has a plan that works for him. Go to aplanforme.com. Learn more about our friends at Weighted Wellness.
Let's go ahead and talk about someone who looks like they don't need Weighted Wellness, and that is Dave Bautista. I think that he slimmed down so much. I do think it's caused some fan concern about whether or not he's healthy in doing this, because he looks like a completely different mass of a human right now. I've seen a lot of fan castings here recently talking about Batman with Dave Bautista, who's been rumored forever to play Bane, now maybe being a Hugo Strange type. And I think that would be a great,
that would be
great
good.
fit.
Yeah.
I would really, really like that. Laura, what do you make of the new Bautista look?
I mean, I think people were. I mean, I told you, I texted you when you were at poker. I was like, "Have you seen what he looks like?" And I don't think he looks bad. Like, I'm not saying that. And I do think,
But it's dramatic.
It's dramatic, but people also need to realize, like, you know, Dwayne there for a while had slimmed down a lot too before he started doing like those Fast and Furious movies. And I do think when you look that jacked up, that is going to extremely limit you. And I'm not sure how much of that was natural, because we know that in wrestling, as we'll see in that documentary that's coming out, you know, they like to use steroids.
Yeah.
And once you get off of it, that, you know, it's that physique is hard to maintain. So I think he looks healthier, in my opinion, just because it's not as, you know, huge. But I think he's a good actor, I think. And I think this will open up more possibilities for roles for him.
He said that it was one film role that sort of pushed him over the edge to where he was like, okay, I'm going to go hardcore into this weight loss thing. And it was
Right.
Knock at the Cabin. That was the one that he said he was a very uncomfortable 315 pounds and he wanted to slim down. And he's definitely done that. And I do wonder if his good old friend James Gunn, who's running DC right now, if the wheels are turning, because I would love to see Hugo Strange on TV or in the films, either one, as a part of this DC universe that's being built out, because he's such a valuable part, especially of the Arkham video games. I mean, I think that Bautista could really tear that role apart and do something creative that does not feel like Drax in the least bit.
Oh, yeah. I think Hugo Strange would be a good fit for him, but we got to find the right project.
Absolutely.
Because I wouldn't want them to just throw away Hugo Strange in like a single episode of the Penguin
Absolutely.
where they're at Arkham Asylum or something like that. I would want it to be
You know-
almost like an Arkham City adaptation.
In Matt Reeves' universe, you can't do a lot of fantastical characters. They're immediately like Killer Croc off the board.
Yeah.
Who else would be like
Which is a
just
shame. But
there's a lot of Batman villains that you're like, no, that doesn't work in this universe, right?
Man-Bat.
Man-Bat wouldn't work.
But Mr.
Solomon
Freeze
I feel like
Grundy.
giving Mr. Freeze would be too much.
Mr. Freeze could, depending on, like, it would lean more into the human motivation of saving his wife than it would lean into the
You could
fantastical
not go
freeze gun
Yeah,
stuff.
Schumacher, Mr. Freeze.
No,
there.
absolutely not. I don't
you
think
need to
anybody.
chill out.
What killed the dinosaurs?
The Ice Age.
Anyway, Batman and
The
Robin.
Iceman
I start?
cometh.
Exactly. My gosh. My favorite line in that movie from Arnold Schwarzenegger is, take 2 of these and call me in the morning, you know, or whatever, when he gives the thing. It's a perfect line delivery. Anyway, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about how well somebody like Hugo Strange would work within a Matt Reeves universe, which is more grounded. Let's also talk about bromances, because there's no doubt James Gunn and Dave Bautista have a bromance, and that is the prompt for today's Lunces list. What are, other than Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, who continue to benefit monetarily from their bromance, other than the bromance of 2024 that I think is at the top of the leaderboard, what else makes the cut with the 5 best bromances today? As we'll get the list right now from John Lunsford.
What is this? What is this? Nonsense this, nonsense this, oh home. What is this? What is this? Nonsense this, nonsense this, oh home. Long since this to buy, long since this to buy, long since this to buy, long since this to buy.
All right, John, it's a very specific prompt. Other than Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, name 5 notable bromances that you feel are authentic. I want you to rank them in order of intensity, and yes, they all have to be living participants.
Yeah, I thought, one that pops right to mind, just to be typical John, would have been Paul Walker and Vin Diesel, but I can't do that anymore. But that obviously one that was up there. Laurel gave me 3 of them this morning.
I can't believe you didn't use one of them. There's one I'm shocked at.
Honestly, if once I say the 3 of them, Tim's probably going to be like, those 3 are better than all 3 that you picked. But these are just the ones that came top of mind when I started thinking about it. And maybe I'm totally off on this, but this is just more in my world than definitely 2 of these. One of these is kind of in my world, but definitely more in your world. But anyway, this is it.
All right.
Do they have to be active bromances? Like if these people are feuding, do they not count?
So
I
like
do not have Kendrick Lamar and Drake on here.
Will Ferrell
I
and
don't think
John
they were ever friends,
I know.
though.
Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly would be a bad choice for the list.
That probably would have made the list not too long ago, but that definitely wouldn't be on
See,
here.
like that was the one I was thinking of, and then James Franco and Seth Rogen. But that one's
yeah.
That
one's
would be
done.
bad.
Honestly, if I did I don't have Seth Rogen, but if I did him, I'd do. Is
Do
it Evan
that.
Goldberg that he does all his movies
No,
with?
it's Judd Apatow, right?
Doesn't he write all? Isn't it Evan
He
Goldberg?
writes
isn't
a
that
lot
his
with
name?
Evan Goldberg. He wrote Superbad with Evan.
Like he's almost every movie he's actually like done himself. I feel like
Or
he's done with
would it
him.
be Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill? Or don't they do a lot together?
Not really anymore.
Not anymore.
Jonah Hill's gone full like artiste, where he's sort of
You know what ruined the 2 of them? Funny People. One of the worst movies ever.
not. That was just uncalled for shot where he steps away from the microphone, so I can't even debate him. Funny People is not the train wreck that John thinks it is. Adam Sandler movie.
If Jonah Hill's in one, it should be with Channing.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you say?
I said if
Channing
Jonah
Tatum.
Hill's on the list, it should be with Channing.
Yeah.
Ooh, Channing.
Ooh, Channing.
You know what? The more I think about this, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna put
One of Laurel's.
one of Laurel's at number 5.
I knew it.
Or as
I
I
know
like to
which
call
one
it,
is.
number S. Sorry. Looks just like an S. I've seen
Brad Pitt.
Superman
how-
logos that look
How
more
could
like
this
a 5.
not be on the list? I feel like this is what
Yeah.
everyone's talking about right now.
The Clune Meister.
Batman. Well, which Batman was he? Batman Returns? Batman
and Robin.
Robin.
Should we go through all of our Mr. Freeze dialogue again?
I only ever get those 2 confused. Batman Forever and Batman Robin.
Which
I
is
never
the
get
one-
Batman.
I
never
get
get
those
Batman-
2 confused
I never
all
get
the
Batman
time.
Returns confused with
Really
any
quick,
of them.
what's
I
the
never
one
get
with the
Batman.
mop? What's the one with the mop?
Batman Forever. Look, I like Batman Forever very much.
Wait, did you say with the mop? When he's in the with is that with Chris O'Donnell
When he's
like,
doing the laundry
yeah,
and
yeah.
at the end he gets the mop to wipe up all
he gets
Yeah.
like that long sleeve shirt, like wraps around his foot and like
good
brings
scene.
it out. That's so bad.
I just now remembered that scene exists.
I watched that entire movie to try to prove to Laurel
And
that
you were wrong.
Robin's. I was not wrong.
Did they say it?
What is Robin's name?
Dick Grayson.
I said his name is Dick Grayson. I just said the word Dick Grayson instead of Robin for some reason. Who is that? That's Robin. No, it's not. And I'm like, Robin's name is Dick Grayson. Now,
yeah,
are there
Alfred
other
only
Robins?
calls
Yes.
him Master Grayson throughout the movie.
And I was like,
think.
watch, we'll pull it up. And of course, it's the Flying Graysons or whatever is their name. And
They
I'm like,
never
Grayson.
said
But they never call him
Did
Dick
they?
Grayson.
Did
It's
they?
just
No.
Alfred just calls him Master
But we got
Grayson.
to see that scene where he kicked the mop around and got the stain up. It was good.
But I watched that entire movie and I got to that point and I was like, what is this movie? Good Lord. Anyway.
Coolio should have been cast as one of Mr. Freeze's henchmen and not some random dude at the
That's
bike
good.
race.
I agree, Tyler.
Was it Coolio that was in the Halloween movie?
Julio was in.
Buster Rhymes.
Buster Rhymes.
Are you just trying to take out everything I love?
Yeah.
Halloween movies, Batman movies.
Anyway, Samuel says David Spade, Chris Farley. Obviously, that would have been a good one too if I could have done. People that aren't alive. But anyway,
Brad Pitt, George Clooney, this movie looks awful. Continue.
I think it looks like I'll walk out of it and be like, yeah, it's fine. Like, I'm not going to walk out of it like I did the Ocean's movies, which I like. I really like 11 and 13. 12 falls off a little bit, but it's okay. But I don't feel like I'm going to walk out and have the same opinion like I did of that Brad Pitt and George Clooney team up. But obviously that had a massive ensemble cast. It wasn't just the two of them. This one's probably going to be whatever.
Does John and Spud make this list? Because
No.
you guys had quite a bromance this past week.
No.
Spud in the City.
We're a lot better at trivia than we are at poker.
See, if you make that into the Coolio Gotham City song from, is it Coolio that sings Gotham City in the Batman and Robin soundtrack?
Oh, yeah, Coolio does.
You're asking us?
Well, I'm
No,
thinking that's the case. Gotham City, or whatever. That's how it goes. And all I can hear now is Spud in the city. Anyway,
So you
R.
can
Kelly.
have alternate.
R.
R.
Kelly.
Kelly. That makes
R.
more
Kelly.
sense.
See, Coolio, R. Kelly, Coolio, Busta Rhymes. They're all big back then. All right.
Let's move on to number 4.
Didn't say anything about this one, but here we go.
Brad Pitt and George Clooney. I mean, it's been a time-tested,
We've all seen it.
yeah, bromance. There's nothing really that needs to be said. I think Wolf's looks like it's going to be tonally jarring. It's going to be totally off the mark.
Oh, this is a good pick. I
that's
think
a good
this
one.
one should be
Yeah.
higher, honestly. It's Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul.
They're always together too. Still.
It's a great choice.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I wouldn't have thought of this one, and that's a great choice.
It's you weren't a Breaking Bad person, were you?
No.
Breaking Bad, very good. Obviously, that's where these two got together. Had an incredible run of 6 seasons.
5, I believe.
I
Can't-
just know
because
they
the last
won
one-
every year.
The last one did the split season, so I can't remember
Oh,
how
yeah,
many
yeah.
it
You're
actually was. But anyway, yeah, they are all always together. They've done like a bunch of skits together. They're one of those that like kind
They
of
have a tequila company together.
the what?
They have a tequila company together.
Mezcal.
Doesn't surprise me.
They're always like out in Vegas, like partying with. The
They're one
tequila.
of those like the old VMA skits. Was it VMAs or was it the movie award skits? Like they used to do like
Movie awards.
Like these are the two that like you always see pop up and stuff like that. I feel like whether it's like a late night bit with Kimmel or something, or if it's that or whatever, they're always in there because you can always go back to Breaking Bad. But they play a lot of different roles, and I really like Aaron Paul in Westworld. I know Westworld has died a gruesome death now, but Bryan Cranston I think is still really good too, and they still love each other.
Great choice. Let's move on to number 3. You're just so far so good.
That Popcorners Super Bowl commercial with them.
Oh yeah, that's
That's
a good one.
one of the greatest commercials I've ever seen. And you weren't a Breaking Bad guy, so
What?
you don't
this
get
is a
the,
really good
the
one.
appreciation for it. It's Steve Martin and Martin Short.
You're doing great. Doing great so far.
It'll probably fall off.
Each one of them's gotten better. By the way, Steve Martin and Martin Short performing at the Ryman Auditorium here very soon up in Nashville, Tennessee. I went to go buy some tickets because I'm like, I want to see these guys. I love Three Amigos. And sold out. Couldn't get any tickets. So
Not
They've had
totally
a huge
shocking.
resurgence.
You're not a big Only Murders person, are you?
I have sampled half of season 1. I thought it was really good, but I made the mistake of, and I love my wife, I promise, but made the mistake of watching it with my wife to the point where we got on different schedules to where we couldn't continue to watch it. And I stopped watching it because I wasn't going to watch it without her, and she didn't watch it, and so we just fell off.
In
That happens in
Do,
couples.
do you like Father of the Bride?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Father of the Bride.
It's into season 4 now. It's been very, very good. They've done a great job with the guest stars like Meryl Streep's a regular on it now. Paul Rudd was on it last season. This season, you've added Zach Galifianakis, Eva Longoria, and Eugene Levy
I know, I messed it up too.
to play the three of them
In a movie.
In a movie, and it's pretty good.
Samuel's saying each one gets better. Yeah, that's how it works. But it's subjective. It doesn't
That's
always
how it's
get
supposed
better.
to work,
That's
and
how it's
hardly
supposed to work.
in my mind. Obviously, it is always that way, or I would not rank them this way. But to almost everybody else, that is typically not how it works. Typically, you get to number 1, and you're just very disappointed because you expect
Could
number
be.
1 to be whatever you want, and it falls off a cliff. And one of my honorable mentions that Laurel told me this morning is the one y'all actually wish was number 1. Anyway,
Let's move on to number 2. I think there's a way to cheat this game that I would have accepted and actually applauded had it been cheated properly. But we're going to see if he goes that route.
Ben Affleck and I assume Matt Damon.
This is the one divorce Ben Affleck has not had.
right.
Ooh.
It's true.
That's the truth. Literally did a Super Bowl commercial with him and his wife, and is still with him, but not with his wife. I guess they're still technically they actually
I
got
don't know,
divorced
Matt
yet.
Damon and like Jennifer Lopez were like hanging out with each other. I guess they did a movie together or something. There was some premiere last week with each other.
Matt Damon and Jennifer Lopez.
I mean, Matt
Awkward.
Damon is like obviously married, but like
Well, no,
they
I
were
know. I
like
just-
walking
I
the red
just
carpet together and
Didn't
like
know they did
yeah.
a movie together.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been around forever. Seems like obviously they have done many movies together.
So you're saying if you and John broke up, you'd still potentially come on the Meltdown?
I mean, we're never breaking up, but yes,
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, but I'm just saying like,
yes. I mean,
okay, that's all I
yes.
needed to know. Fun Fridays can continue.
The answer is supposed to be no. I will always choose Laurel instead of Tim. Like for me, so you say the same about me. Anyway, I mean, I feel like this is an obvious one that you got to put on the list.
I feel like James McAvoy from Speak No Evil. Okay.
Will you do that for your Halloween costume?
No.
Why? What could you possibly have that's better than that?
I don't think we go on that
You
route.
gotta do the smile.
It reminds me of too many people. It's too much.
Ben Affleck and Matt Damon there in the number 2 spot. A bromance that has stood the test of time.
What do you think number 1 is? I kind of like getting to like the guessing game of number 1.
Okay, so I think if you were to have cheated the game to a point where it would work here, the task, Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy could have been easily number 1.
I consider both of them off the table.
Well, then, I mean, that's why I said you could have, been in the gray area. Because all I said was you can't pick Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, but Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy probably a bigger bromance than the other two.
Probably so.
Do they have to be a actor? Could be athletes?
I mean, it could have been anybody.
This is one I would not allow.
These are actors, though.
Is Jason and Travis Kelce. And the reason
That's
I
the
would
first thing she said. I was like, they're actually brothers.
actually
That doesn't
brothers.
count.
It does not
Well,
count.
no, I was gonna say Tom Brady and like Gronk.
No.
I mean, not the worst choice, but I wouldn't put it on the list. These are actors.
2 actors with a bromance here that would make sense right off the top of my head.
Leonardo DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese.
He's not just a Scorsese person, though.
Samuel's talking about Rock, Kevin Hart. I mean, that's...
Rock Kevin Hart is the one I removed for Brad Pitt and George Clooney.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Only because the Rock has just fallen off so much. I feel like Kevin Hart's still around.
Dwayne shaking at Travis Kelce doing
I would
those
argue
commercials.
Kevin Hart's fallen off too.
Yeah, it's falling off.
But I'm saying you still see Kevin Hart like in commercials and stuff like that. Like I have seen him nonstop during football weekends. I don't hardly see The Rock. Well, now that he's left wrestling, like I feel like I hadn't seen The Rock at all since WrestleMania.
He's got
Tyler, you're really good at cracking the code for Luntz's list, so I'm going to give you a few seconds here to think about
You
it.
do always say it.
I'm going to talk about my bromance that I have with Dr. Jeff, Dr. Brian, and Dr. Nolan. I recommend that you choose them as your dentists. Take a trip to Grants Mill Road at Alabama Dental Associates, headlined by that trio, as I absolutely love visiting the dental team that they've put together, knowing I'm taking care of myself the best way that I can. I spent years having anxiety about the dentist. Not any longer. I actually look forward to it. I am so happy that I have found a solution to my issues, and I'm happy to be able to share it with you. They not only have all the latest advancements in dental healthcare technology, but they also have the friendliest staff in town. If you're ready to find that perfect dental team, try Alabama Dental Associates for yourself. They can help you feel at ease about all of your upcoming dental procedures. To get more information or to make an appointment, call them 205-956-8977 or visit alabamadental.com, where they look forward to seeing you. Tyler, have you cracked the code?
I don't think I have. I think
think I have
Brian
It's
in the
not
chat.
a bad choice for Brian. That's not who it is.
What is it?
I think Brian's got the correct answer.
it?
Is the hobbits from Lord of the Rings that
Four
played
hobbits.
Merry and Pip.
I was gonna say Oppenheimer and Nolan.
So can I go with this one?
Cillian Murphy and Nolan. That's
Yeah.
actually not bad.
I'm going to go with Pedro Pascal and Kieran Culkin.
Oh, that's a good one.
That would be a
So
good
Pedro Pascal and Oscar Isaac are actually really, really big friends. And I thought about including them on the list, but I had them as an honorable mention.
Don't you feel like Pedro and Kieran, I mean, they absolutely
like
adore
them.
each other.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, I feel like a lot of that was this past year because they were both like
Yeah.
two of the shoe-in award winners for a lot of different things.
Which way are we going?
All right, so here are my honorable mentions that she told me to put on. I didn't put on.
I didn't say to do anything.
One,
Once again, we get Laurel on Fridays. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
one was Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, and one was Eminem and Dr. Dre, which I did not include either one of those.
Both of those very prevalent right now.
They are. And I would say are decent, but
So what did you go
I'm
with?
kind of surprised y'all haven't gotten this. I don't know.
For a second, I was thinking RDJ and like Tom Holland and Jacob Batalon, but
I'm trying to think about.
oh yeah, that's number one. Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart.
Oh, I thought Glenn Powell was going to make it.
That is the number one.
Glenn
John.
Powell-
you are correct.
Glenn Powell and you?
Glenn Powell and the rest of America should have been
Powell
the
and
number
Tom
one
Cruise.
choice. Actually, wouldn't have been a bad choice.
Gross.
Glenn Powell and the
Sponsored
room
by
in Tom
Scientology,
Cruise's
it's fine.
basement.
Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart. Fascinating.
I mean, talk about one. I wouldn't say it stood the test of time like their whole lives necessarily, but I mean, obviously since X-Men, they have been thick as thieves and they continue to be friends. They continue to appear kind of that same way that like Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul pop up a bunch and different things. I feel like they pop up because they have played Both played so many culturally relevant characters, massive characters in their time that
Let's-
they're old, so they can't do as much. But like you still hear a lot about them, and I think they're still really best friends. And
Let me tell you about why I really like your choice.
Yeah.
Because if in the big Avengers team-up movies that we're going to be getting where they are pulling out all the stops to deliver a hit, if there's a scene with these two guys in it where even if it is they're meeting their demise or maybe it's they've joined the fight, but if both of these guys come out of the portal together or
you've already done one of them, so
I know, but if like together, I'm talking about on the same screen at the same time, and maybe who knows, maybe it's younger version and older versions together because you could use all four of those actors.
yeah.
It will be incredible to experience in the theater seeing these two guys on screen together again playing those iconic roles.
My only fear is by the time we actually get to that point, which will be a couple of years, Ian McKellen, I don't remember the specifics, but I want to say he had a pretty bad fall. He's doing a play in West End in London, and I want to say he had a pretty bad fall.
He did.
Not that has like completely taken him out or anything, but that's just kind of showing that like they're just
He
they're
came
old. It's
out
just
with a
what it is.
statement here recently saying that if there's any interest in the studio having him reprise the role of Gandalf, that they better get on it real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah, I saw that.
he said that. I mean, I'm thinking to myself,
Hey,
like, wow.
and Gandalf honestly doesn't do near what Magneto does as far as like you're bringing them in. This kind of situation you would bring those people into in the Avengers, just knowing what that has typically been.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna need a lot more out of him as opposed to just showing up as old man Gandalf for a hot minute in something. Now, would that be huge? Yes, absolutely. I would love to see that. I would love to see all four. I just don't know that it'll ever happen, but you never know. Patrick Stewart obviously more willing to do it because he's obviously has already been in the MCU.
It could potentially happen. I did see a leak saying that the two big superheroes that will be leading the charge for Secret Wars will be the Hugh Jackman Wolverine and the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I've seen
Wow.
that.
It's been rumored for a while now, but I think that they weren't completely sold on it until they were able to get both of those back into the mix.
Yeah.
Because they had gotten his Peter Parker and Spider-Man back into the mix for sure with No Way Home. But
Because the story of it was
Hugh
with
Jackman was obviously the wild card there.
the story of it was with Kang, at least what the rumors were, that the fight against Kang was going to have to be prime Avengers, like prime versions of the Avengers. Hugh Jackman obviously is the prime Wolverine, and we basically have gotten that as his whole anchor being thing with Deadpool. But that Tobey Maguire ultimately was going to be the anchor Spider-Man. You bring him into this, everybody thinks of him as like the Spider-Man that you definitely have had, you know, Andrew Garfield's fine, Tom Holland's fine, but like he's like the one that it kind of seems like they may stick with that, but it's more of the like anchor being as opposed to the prime Avenger, like how they actually do it, because they obviously have laid that stage with Deadpool and Wolverine. So I can still see that potentially being the case.
Well, there we have Luntz's list at number 5, Brad Pitt, George Clooney. What was, once again, the closest to 5 that didn't quite make it?
The Rock and Kevin
The
Hart.
Rock and Kevin Hart. Number 4, Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul. Number 3, Steve Martin, Martin Short. Number 2, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. Number 1, Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart.
Sir Ian McKellen and Sir Patrick Stewart.
Sorry, yes.
Should have written that.
You should have written that. You can just write Sir above both their names right now, and it should make up for it.
Sirs.
We need to start calling him Sir Spud. Let's be honest. Like, he deserves it. Sir Spud in the city.
Yeah.
That's the way, with an ascot. Okay. That's going to do it for us here on the Meltdown
Imagine
today.
him wearing like a full Fred costume from Scooby-Doo. Wasn't he the one that had the ascot?
Yes, that he would be Fred in that, and he would be not able to control his mouth around everybody there as a part of the mystery team, the whatever they're called, the
Freddie Prinze Jr.
mystery machine
Spud.
team.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, it would have been a real rough thing for him. All right, that's going to do it for us here on the Meltdown. We appreciate everybody. Look, there's a whole slate this weekend of football action, and I don't know, Laurel, are you the type that walks in and is like, oh, more football, yay? Or
I do not. I make snacks and I take a nap. I take you took a nap too last week.
During the Auburn game,
We're
it was
all
pretty
out.
boring.
Everyone was out. And no, it's fun. It's good
Okay.
times.
I only make her watch the Alabama game, and we'll usually watch the Auburn
But
game
then
together.
you get to watch the Chiefs games with me now.
Then
so
I got to
it's
watch
fine.
the Chiefs.
Yeah.
that is correct. So lots of football
So
happening
it's going to be
there.
bad. We're going to be at the Yankees game during the Chiefs game. So she's going to be on her phone the whole time. It's like, that's supposed to be me over there watching football.
John, you're on your phone, though, monitoring all the wagers that you place at MyBookie.
I am. Go to mybookie.ag. Promo code next round. See it right there. Get that first deposit bonus on us. You can play in the sportsbook. You can play in the casino. Play in the live casino. mybookie.ag.
Another strong week here for the Meltdown. We appreciate all of you there hitting that subscribe button. Those keep going up. hitting the like button. That really helps us for sure. And we appreciate the super chat that James gave us here earlier in the show. We were hot and heavy into conversation about what color ascot Spud would be wearing, so I don't think we were able to fully acknowledge that, but did thank him in the chat, and we appreciate your support on that level because it really does mean a lot with what we are trying to build here each and every day. Thank you all for being proud Meltdonians. We'll see you again next week. We'll also have a retro trailer reaction to do next week for you as well, V for Vendetta, which will close out our season 1 of the Dune Popcorn Bucket. It's all happening right here on The Meltdown. We'll see you again next week. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.